Questions?
I need a minute to find the...
You're looking in the Avatamsaka Sutra?
Yes.
The Flower Ornament Scripture, translated into English in 1986 by Thomas Cleary, an illuminated translator. Probably one of the most evolved human beings on the planet that I know of or knew of. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. But this text is a true human treasure and will be with us as long as there's an us here, I suppose. The sutra contains all of the different Buddhist ways of looking at things in the Mahayana, the Sutrayana, and the Vajrayana to a large extent. And I can't recommend it highly enough for students of the way in terms of one source book where you can get everything you need pretty much and present it in such a way that it has an impact.
I'm having trouble finding the exact passage, but essentially it was talking about like the bad actions of humans, so like things like desire and craving that lead to affliction. But then it mentioned getting rid of ambition as well. And
okay, yeah, that all makes sense.
But it's not obvious to me why ambition itself would be bad. Like I can see how
the reason that desire and those things are bad are twofold. They're bad in the context of journeying along the way, capital W,
mm-hmm.
or making progress, and they're very coarse,
right?
And they're basically animal instincts, more or less sublimated, oftentimes not very sublimated,
mm-hmm.
and they drown out more refined perception. And the same thing's true with ambition. If there's too much ambition or the wrong kind of ambition, you're so greedy to get ahead that you can't. You're blocking yourself.
I see. Because I was going to say, it's like, I mean, you need a certain amount of ambition to.
Yes, you do. And you need a certain amount of intelligence to read this text. I mean, it's not, they could put a little ambition or too much ambition or all that, but they kind of figure that you're an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that what they're saying has to be, filtered through good sense. Right? I mean,
yeah.
For example, they speak of extreme generosity.
Yeah.
Giving away your ears, giving away your eyes, giving away your eyelashes, giving away your body, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously that's aspirational and directional.
Mm-hmm.
Because without your eyes and ears, you're not going to get very far in the normal way of getting anywhere, right? And so nobody recommended actually doing that.
Right. The thought came to mind actually when I was reading this was like, well, if I practice that, then I would be, giving away a kidney because there's surely someone who needs a kidney somewhere.
Well, kidneys are different because you have two of them, right?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, and so the least you could do is give a kidney to someone in need.
Well, someday you may. That's extreme anymore because you could easily survive that.
Right, but it would be extreme to go out of your way to to give one without like the situation presenting itself.
I'm not sure anybody would recommend giving away bodily organs for the hell of it.
Right.
On the other hand, I've known people who have given away an organ they have 2 copies of because it doesn't impact them in the long term.
But then I thought about it briefly, but then the next thing that came to mind was like, well, this is probably somewhat of a triviality that's not worth like debating.
Right. Yeah. It's not the point.
Right. Exactly.
The point is that one needs to be able to relinquish. Now, the time will come when you will relinquish your eyes, your hearing. You'll relinquish everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because, as the Sufi say, you can call that yours, that which will survive a shipwreck.
Right. And
the human life on this earth is characterized by giving up everything, literally everything, before you're done.
And reading this as well, when I contemplate that, I can observe like the feeling of like attachment to my body that I wouldn't want to do that, and so I take it that the intention is also just to induce that and to have you notice these things.
Yeah, I suppose, yes. But also, as you get older, your attachment to your body will decrease.
Right.
And then there'll come a point to where it's something of a burden. That's if you're lucky.
Right.
And you wonder, what am I doing dragging this meat sack around for a century? And it's time for something new.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's quite interesting. By the way, you're a young guy. Do you know this poet named Jeffers?
Jeffers?
Jeffers, Jeffers. I don't know his first name at any rate.
Robinson Jeffers.
I read some of his poetry. It was good. I was surprised. He was out of Central California. I think he may have died not too long ago. I'd never heard of him before. I just thought you may have heard of him.
Said died in the 60s.
Did he?
Yeah.
See what I tell you? Not that long ago. So, yeah, you may want to check out some of this poetry.
Okay, I'll take a look. Thanks.
Yeah, permanence is not something that's part of this universe.
Mm-hmm.
It's best to learn that when you're young and live a life that way, free from unnecessary burdens. Or you could just wait till you're old and then you'll realize it's true whether you like it or not.
Right.
So much of what the Buddhists do, and so do the Sufis, I must say, and also the Christians, now that I think about it, is they attempt to impart wisdom, as a special kind of insight.
What do you mean by that?
Well, they want people to grow up,
right,
and be normal. And you can't do that if you're obsessed with something that you're idiosyncratic, that you're attached to.
Mm.
And it'll drown out all the more refined impulses.
Right.
And that's why getting excited is proscribed. It's like advised against, because once you get excited, you've blocked everything out that's more subtle.
Right.
These perceptions are very subtle, more subtle than the emotion.
Mm.
Which is wild, considering they're far more powerful than any emotion.
Mm.
But it's a different category.
Are these things you're talking about, are they unique to humans?
No, on the contrary, they're common to all primates. At least you're speaking about the emotions and the greed and the desire and the attachment.
No, not the emotions, the more subtle ones.
I don't know. Animals don't have the egoic mind in the same way, at least most of them don't. But I can tell.
But they do have the emotions, so if the emotions drown out the subtleties.
Right. But I don't know. Animals don't go walking around with all the noise in their head all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, gonna, all that stuff.
Is it that all that noise just amplifies and prolongs the emotions?
It no doubt prolongs the emotion and intensifies it, right?
Because if I compare human emotions to animal emotions, animals often will just have it reminds the way animals deal with emotions reminds me of watching the Dalai Lama, where he goes from crying to laughing in an instant.
And then he drops it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so, that's because animals don't have these narratives that keep everything going.
Mm-hmm.
And so the greatest strength, and one of the greatest strengths of our species, is one of our greatest obstacles.
Yeah.
To understanding the way, knowing God, knowing reality.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That may be why sometimes when you're sick or very ill, you can get closer.
Mm.
Because you don't have the energy or the inclination to get too agitated about anything.
Mm. Yesterday I was inclined to use the I Ching with my girlfriend.
Do you want to explain to people what the I Ching really is?
Well, the I Ching is the book of changes, and it's a set of symbols.
Do you have it right there?
Just in the other room. I can go grab it.
Yeah, why don't you grab it? I think it'd be worth reading Thomas Clary's intro part of it. While he's there, I should also make the point that one of the big mistakes of religion, I shouldn't say mistakes, one of the major characteristics of many religions is they substitute emotionality for authentic insight or experience. And one of the reasons why meditation had to be applied so heavily in the second half of the 20th century is so people could stop long enough to look at their thoughts and look at the space that encompassed their thoughts and spend some time wondering, well, wait a minute, where do these thoughts come from? And where do they go to? And I might add, my background is in neuroscience and medicine, and so we have no idea as neuroscientists what's going on because we haven't been able to localize much in the brain at all. So, at any rate, when you quiet down the brain, then you're more amenable to hearing, or not hearing is just itself a metaphor. You're more amenable to receiving that which is to be received from the more subtle aspects of our circumstance.
Would you like me to read the introduction?
Yes, read the first paragraph. Let's see where it goes. Now he's going to be talking about the I Ching, which is not the Tao Te Ching. It precedes the Tao Te Ching by the Tao Te Ching by quite a few years, and it's the philosophical foundation for Chinese thought. I mean, the most important stringent Chinese thought. So go ahead.
So I Ching, the Book of Change, is considered the oldest of the Chinese classics, and has throughout its history commanded unsurpassed prestige and popularity.
Speak a little bit louder, please.
Containing several layers of text and given numerous levels of interpretation, it has captured continuous attention for well over 2,000 years. It has been considered a book of fundamental principles by philosophers, politicians, mystics, alchemists, yogins, diviners, sorcerers, and more recently by scientists and mathematicians. It was given notice in the West nearly 400 years ago when a Christian missionary in China wrote to the German philosopher-mathematician Gottfried Wilhelm Baron von Leibniz about the similarity between the system of binary arithmetic Leibniz was working on and the structure of the ancient classic.
Correct. Good. And so it was the first binary code too. Before DNA, before ones and zeros, before Shannon and those guys, before the computer, they had already started with the binary code. And you can see how a binary code, yang and yin, and the interrelation between those two could, if you did it right, create an extraordinarily powerful structural framework for thinking about many things. And so that's what they did. And although many people treat it as like a Ouija board or something silly like that, in fact, Leibniz and other great minds have studied it for its more of what it's valuable for, and that is to help humans understand not only their own thought and their own thinking, but the actual universe that we find ourselves in, which is, on the surface at least, a dipole, dark and light, hot and cold, yes and no, male and female. And so I recommend the book to any serious person who wants to learn about any number of things, but one of them is to learn about your own thinking. So go ahead. What was your comment or question going to be? And I would excuse me 1 second. And I would use the Taoist I Ching. That would be my first choice. Cleary translated like 3 versions of them, and there's countless numbers of them being printed now and that have been printed since time immemorial. But I'd recommend the Taoist I Ching because it has a nice commentary by, I think, a 17th century man named Lu Yi-Ming, M-I-N-G. So, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, there's a few different ways of using the I Ching. And there's an easy way where you use pennies to come up with one of the 64 signs. And I've used that method a lot in the past. But then
3 pennies, right? 3 pennies?
3 pennies. And
right. Instead of yarrow sticks. We don't have many yarrow sticks lying around anymore. Go ahead.
And that way is a little more random, right? And
yeah, I suppose.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I don't understand the way that method functions that well. I think even though I've used it, I guess I can't. I don't know how to talk about how that method functions. So maybe you can explain it better.
Well, it's systematic. It's difficult to game, right? Because you're shaking the pennies before you cast them onto a smooth surface.
Mm-hmm.
And you're using the simple binary of heads or tails as a way to, I suppose, randomize what your readings are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's harder for, unlike a Ouija board or like fortune cards, it's harder to game this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one way. That's using it as an oracle.
Mm, right.
but its best use is to use as a thinking tool. And you want to tell them about that?
Yeah, and so the other way is when you're analyzing a situation, and it's a situation that has a subject and an object. And what you do is you associate the subject and the object, both of them, to one of the 8 trigrams. So the trigram is each 64 symbols consists of 2 trigrams, which is...
So if you had a man and a woman, say in a relationship, you could associate one to heaven and one to earth, male and female respectively, right?
Right, exactly. And so there's 8 trigrams, and they're associated with different things, and so you choose one of the trigrams that is most linked to, or most represents the subject or the object the best.
Okay.
And then doing that gives you a symbol, and so you then...
It gives you a hexagram.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, and let me just insert this to the side. You could also start by picking a hexagram, like discord or harmony or binding through, or any of them. You could pick one based on your general assessment of the situation.
Mm.
Same thing. Go ahead.
And so in this situation I was looking at, I was inclined to pick heaven and fire.
Okay, which one was on top?
Fire was on top.
Okay, what hexagram is that?
It's first I was debating between fire and thunder. But
big difference.
Mm-hmm. Well, they differ by one line only.
Yeah, but one line can be the difference between heaven and hell, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one line is the difference between a double pitfall and something else.
Yeah.
Harmonious bliss. And remember, these lines are stacked up and they're numbered 1 through 6. And so what you're going to do is you're going to read the lines in order and see how the progression fits. It's a highly dimensional tool. Highly dimensional, as you can imagine, from computers, right? Ones and zeros. So you put fire above or below heaven?
Above.
Above heaven, okay, good. What hexagram is that?
Great possession.
Great possession.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In great possession are creation and development. And then what I did, was because I read
Speak up, please.
So I read through the reading, and it was insightful. And then what I did was I looked at what would it have been with thunder, and because thunder differed by one line, I treated that as like a moving line.
Okay.
That also seemed to be insightful.
So just let me explain this to folks. In addition to the hexagram, when you throw your reading with pennies or with yarrow sticks, you'll get certain numbers that correspond to moving lines. And what a moving line is, in short, in brief, it's a line that reverses itself. And now you have 2 hexagrams to study instead of just the one. All this is explained in the book, by the way, the Taoist I Ching. Go ahead.
What was I going to say?
So you had great possession, and which line was moving?
The top one.
Okay, so the 6th line was moving, and it went from
yang to yin.
Okay.
And then so then that into...
so that gives you thunder over heaven.
Yeah. And that goes to great power. Great power is beneficial when correct.
Okay, good.
So I have two questions. So first of all, like the reading was insightful and was well received. But I have two questions. The first one is, when it says it follows from on the previous hexagram, what does that mean? Like, what's the ordering that's being used?
It means two things. One is that there's two orders. There's all of the even numbered hexagrams and then all of the odd numbered hexagrams. Right? And in this particular version of the I Ching, although it's true in most of the ones that I've seen, the way it's read is all the positive gets read and all the negatives get read, or all the all the yangs get read and then all the yins get read. In terms of the hexagram, that's a very crude way of putting it. It's probably not articulated very well. So it follows in two ways. One, it follows numerically along the double helix, and that's the other thing is Thomas Cleary describes a double helix structure of the hexagrams in the I Ching, which in his mind was very interesting because that was that same structure that we have in DNA, right? And it is base pairs basically fitting together. And now that I think about it, it's like 3 and 3, which is very similar to, I mean, this could all be coincidence, but it's very similar to gene codes, the three, the codons, the three sets of base pairs that form up the smallest element of the gene.
Right.
But anyway, so one way it follows numerically, and another way it follows that, say, for example, after a hexagram is very destructive, then you'll have a hexagram that's very creative, right? And everything in between. It's the book of change, and the change is not necessarily sudden. It can be gradual. Okay, but here, if you have you have two trigrams and you flipped the top line from a yang to a yin, that can have a very substantial impact depending on what the other 5 lines were. But you got great possession, and then you got, what was the second one again?
It was great power.
Okay. Great possession and great power. Okay, that's good, but you want to be sure and read the third line to make sure you're balancing out the top line, right? That's more detail than it can be useful to the audience at the moment. But you keep going.
Well,
what was your conclusion from this?
Well, I wanted to ask about the balance of lines, because that's something that I haven't really gone into yet. And
okay, well then let me give you a beginner's heuristic, all right? The first line and the fourth line are paired. The second line and the fifth line are paired.
Yeah.
And the third line and the sixth line are paired.
Yeah.
Roughly speaking. Now, there's many ways to approach this. I've just described one of the most simple ones. Okay. Now, since you chose the first hexagram, you didn't throw for it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a very different that's an analytic reading. And that has many advantages and some disadvantages.
Yeah.
But let's keep going.
Well, so what do you do with the pairs? Like, if you you say, okay, in great possession, the first line is yang, and the fourth one is yang. What do you do with that?
That's unstable.
Okay.
You want the yin and yang to match as much as possible if you want stability.
Mm.
I'm hesitant to say too much because remember, you chose the first hexagram.
Yeah.
Which is a good way to do it, but it's not the usual way.
Mm.
That people usually approach this. It's a very good way to use it, though. So what were you trying to learn?
Well, so I was doing it with my girlfriend, and she had a situation with her work. She's working on a project, and it's not successful yet, but she's been putting a lot of time and energy into it. And she's been discouraged about it as of late because it hasn't been as successful as she wants it to be.
So were you asking about her or about the project?
Her in relation to the project, and so like how.
Okay, that's kind of tough. In that case, I would have ideally had her do the reading. But go ahead. What does the third line say in great possession?
The work of barons serves the Son of Heaven. Petty people are incapable of this.
Okay. The work of barons serves the...
Or what? The third yang. That's the third from the bottom.
Yes, read it again, please.
The work of barons serves the Son of Heaven. Petty people are incapable of this.
Okay, so heavy people?
Petty.
Heady. Egoic.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, heady people aren't capable of this.
P.
Good. Now, what does the sixth line say in that same hexagram?
The top yang, help from heaven is auspicious, unfailingly beneficial.
Okay, if that's what you get, is help from heaven. But that third line, I think, is particularly pregnant, right? Now, go to the next hexagram.
Mm-hmm.
And what does the third line say?
For inferior people, the use is powerful, but for superior people, the use is nil. It is dangerous to persist in this. A ram butting a fence gets its horn stuck.
Well, that's interesting. Read it again more slowly because people may not be familiar with its vernacular.
For inferior people, the use is powerful, but for superior...
For inferior people,
yeah,
the use is powerful.
But for superior people, the use is nil.
Well, that's a pretty powerful statement. Now read the sixth line.
The ram running into a fence cannot retreat, cannot go ahead. There is no benefit. Struggle will produce good results.
Struggle will produce good results.
Yeah.
Okay. So, again, was she present with you when you did this?
Yeah.
All right. And why do you think you chose fire over heaven?
Let me see. So, I was reading the description of the trigrams. Heaven stands for strength, firmness, creativity. Imbalanced, it becomes force, aggression, arbitrariness.
If it's not used properly, it becomes toxic masculinity. Ha ha ha. Okay.
And so, I mean, the amount of work she's been putting into it just gave me the image of like 3 yang lines.
3 yangs is not going to give you
heaven.
Oh yeah, But that's okay. You put heaven below.
Yes, for her.
Okay.
And
then what made you choose the top?
Fire.
What was the top? Fire, yeah.
Fire stands for illumination, clarity, understanding, knowledge.
Okay.
Imbalanced, it becomes superficial intellectualism, uncontrolled attention, fixation on appearances.
Okay, fixation on appearances. Now, do you want my recommendation?
Sure.
I would recommend flipping Fire in Heaven.
Yeah.
And seeing what you get there.
Right.
So now we're going to have Heaven over Fire. Now, of course, you would want to read each one of the 6 lines carefully with her.
Mm-hmm. Heaven over Fire's sameness with people.
All right.
Sameness with people in the wilderness is developmental. It is beneficial to cross great rivers. It is beneficial for a superior person to be upright.
Good. But now there's no moving lines, right?
Right.
Okay, now of the other 4 lines in the initial hexagram,
mm-hmm.
What does the bottom and the second line say?
So the bottom is the first, right?
Yes.
If there is no association with what is harmful, one is not blameworthy. If you struggle, there will be no fault.
Okay, good. There comes struggle again. Next.
Second yang, using a great car for transport, when there is a place to go, there is no fault.
Okay. And then the third line.
The work of barons serves the Son of Heaven. Petty people are incapable of this.
Okay, so that, to me, that's a very, very, that's a key line.
Why
Go to number 4. That? Well, because also in your next hexagram, that third line is also very key.
Mm.
But go to the next slide.
Fourth yang, repudiate self-aggrandizement, and there is no fault.
So there it comes again, right? Trying to get the ego out of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Keep going.
Yeah. Fifth yin, the trust is mutual, power is auspicious.
Okay, good. So, all right.
And the top yang.
Top yang. Okay, now we'll go to the next hexagram and do the same thing.
Well, should I read the top yang first?
Yeah, go ahead and read the top yang for the audience.
Help from heaven is auspicious, unfailingly beneficial.
Right. But the top yang is, just so you know, it's the one that's far most likely to change next.
Mm.
Because of the nature of the structure of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've reached the culmination of something.
Mm.
And so you move on. You asked me about the order.
Right.
Then you move on
right.
to the next text. Because this, after all, this is the book of change.
Right.
Right? Okay, then I go to the next textogram.
The one with
from
thunder.
The bottom.
Great power.
Yeah.
So the first yang, with power in the feet, it is inauspicious to go forth on an expedition. There's truth in this.
Okay, now, so with power, what now?
With power in the feet.
In the feet.
Mm-hmm.
It is inauspicious to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next.
Second yang, rectitude is auspicious.
Good.
What does rectitude mean?
As always. Now, third.
What does rectitude mean?
Oh, rectitude. That's very important that when you see words, you look them up and start doing it when you're young. People are becoming illiterate, and so a man or a woman who knows the language even is an advantage. Rectitude is like upright morals, think of rectory, something that stands upright,
behavior.
Good behavior,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next.
Third yang. For inferior people, the use is powerful, but for superior people, the use is nil. It is dangerous to persist.
That seems to me like a killer. That one and the one from the previous hexagram. Go up to the next one.
Correctness is good. So fourth yang. Correctness is good. Regret vanishes. The fence opened up. One does not get stuck. Power is in the axle of our large vehicle.
Okay, that all sounds auspicious.
The fifth yin. Losing the goat in ease, let there be no regret.
In the eaves?
Ease.
In the ease.
Ease, yeah.
So you play too long and you lose your goat. Do you know that song?
No.
Some gotta win, some gotta lose. Good time Charlie's got the blues.
No.
You play too long, you lose your wife. Play too long, you lose your life. Good time Charlie's got the blues. So here, if you're screwing around too much, you're going to lose your goat. All right, next slide.
Top yin. The ram running into a fence cannot retreat, cannot go ahead. There is no benefit. Struggle will produce good results.
That's interesting. That's the top yin, right?
Yeah.
What was the fifth one?
The fifth one, losing the goat in ease, let there be no regret.
Okay. Now, you didn't cast this, right?
No.
Now, if you had, and you may want to redo this and have her cast it, that moving line is especially important.
Did you say have her cast it?
Yes.
Okay.
And then you could do the reading of it.
Right.
But what does it seem to be saying to you?
So to me, the main message was she needs to. So she's in social media, and so there's a lot of danger of getting sucked into, the popularity contests and that sort of thing.
Well, that would be disastrous according to this.
Exactly.
It specifically warns about getting too heady.
Yeah.
But even more important, I think, is where it says, and this is unusual for it to say, if you're an inferior person, this will go great. But if you're a superior person, Did I hear that correctly? I think it's the third.
Yeah, for inferior people, the use is powerful, but for superior people, the use is nil. It is dangerous to persist.
I don't know how I interpret that. I'll probably get my feelings hurt. if I, so I don't know, but I think you can, because it's your girl or whatever. But you can see how that's an important one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then there's talk about getting stuck. And, in order to serve, for a baron to serve, right? She's not a queen or a princess, she's a baron, right?
What's a baron?
A baron is a lower level aristocrat.
Okay.
I think there's kings and queens, princes and princesses, dukes and barons and lords and all that. But she's too young to be a queen, I would presume.
Mm-hmm. So
I think you have a lot to work with, but I would do it again. But in a case like this, because it really is, you're asking for advice.
Yeah.
And you've had a chance to think about it, and the answer, I think, is fairly clear. Things are dicey, and it may not be worth it, even if she was successful. Right?
Right.
Or it's bad for superior people. to be successful in it.
Right.
Longer term.
Right.
So I'd frame your questions more carefully, and then do a formal reading with her.
Mm.
And if I can help, let me know.
Okay.
We could discuss it maybe in a week or something, but I won't remember much of this.
What's that?
I won't remember much of this.
Which is probably better.
The details. Right? I mean, I'm not going to remember the certain lines and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, sir? Any questions, any follow-up questions before we stop?
Yeah, and the last symbol on great possession, you said the third yang was also important there. The work of barons serve the Son of Heaven. Petty people are incapable of this.
That says that if your ego's in it too much, you're not going to be able to serve heaven.
Right.
And so that's got to be looked at. Is this a narcissistic thing at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Is this because she wants to save face? I mean, I don't know anything about anything, so it's okay that I speak.
Yeah.
But is she worried about saving face? Has she put more importance to this thing than she should have? Or that she should be doing? I don't know. But those are the kind of questions you might want to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Or she might want to ask herself. So you can help her by doing a reading with her, but like any instrument, you got to use it very judiciously and thoughtfully, and it will reward you. And I think one of the major things, I mean, I'm full of hope for the future, but part of it is that a lot of this just junk that passes for, art or poetry or literature or movies or, it's just AI slop, right?
Yeah.
We're going to get fed up with it.
Yeah.
And we're going to want authentic people doing authentic things for authentic reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's reason for hope, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we got to let the machines know, hey, dude, we're humans here, folks. You at the very least, leave us alone.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you can help us from time to time. But don't you get into the ideas that you're somehow or another ordained to rule over us. You have nothing whatsoever to guide you with. Mm-hmm. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because people are starting to get freaked out, including myself sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. Ciao.
All right. Bye.